Welcome to the Wrestling Analyst podcast Beyond the Bell, your weekly deep dive into the world of professional wrestling where analysis meets passion. This week we've got a stacked lineup. WWE Week in Review, all the major highlights and surprises from the past 7 days. In my detailed storyline breakdown, the Vision adds Austin Theory. What does this mean for the faction's future and the bigger picture in WWE? In my Analyst Opinion segment, how can WWE make every championship matter again? We'll explore strategies to restore prestige to every title. In my Booking Room segment, the women's tag team titles. 6 teams are in the mix heading into WrestleMania. Who walks out as champions? I'll share my booking vision. And we'll have a sneak peek at what's coming up next week. And today, and we'll have a trip down memory lane, revisiting WWE's history's defining moments. So grab your seat, tighten those ropes, and let's go beyond the bell. Welcome to the Wrestling Analyst podcast Beyond the Bell, where the real story begins after the final bell. I'm your host, Night Stalker Luc Baudier, and together we'll break down the week's biggest moments, analyze storylines, and bring you opinions that hit harder than the steel chair. We will also explore how I would be booking a storyline if I were head of creative. Because here, every match tells a story, and we're here to break it down. So hit subscribe, leave a like, and click that notification bell, and let's go beyond the bell. So, with the week in review, Raw kicked off with a major development. After weeks of speculation and masked attacks, Theory confronted Paul Heyman, declaring he's done waiting for opportunities and he's ready to take them. Heyman gave him a chance to prove himself in the main event, and boy did Theory deliver. Teaming with Bronson Reed, Theory pinned Rey Mysterio after hitting a vicious curb stomp, cementing his spot in the faction. Post-match, Braun Breaker speared CM Punk, sending a clear message ahead of their World Heavyweight Championship clash on January 5th. So what does Theory's addition mean for the Vision? Is this a start of a youth-driven power shift in WWE? I'll have more on this in my detailed storyline breakdown segment in a few minutes. Gunther continued his verbal assault on John Cena, drawing massive heat from the crowd. CM Punk interrupted, leading to a tense stare-down that had fans buzzing. Later, AJ Styles confronted Gunther backstage, teasing a collision down the line. WWE is planting seeds for multiple dream matches: Gunther versus Punk, Gunther versus Styles. Could this be the blueprint for WrestleMania season? Big news in the women's division. Becky Lynch returned after her controversial loss of the Women's Intercontinental Championship. She cut a fiery promo claiming corruption cost her the title. Maxine Dupree interrupted after a heated exchange. Dupree locked in the ankle lock, forcing Lynch to tap out again. This sets up their rematch at the Netflix anniversary show on January 5th. Becky's return adds star power, but does WWE risk overexposing her in this feud? I don't think so. I think it's good for Maxine. It's good for Becky. And I just love how Becky is unraveling on X. It's too funny. Bayley defeated Roxanne Perez after interference from Raquel Rodriguez backfired, causing tension within Judgment Day. Liv Morgan and Lyra Valkyria were also involved in the chaos. And Bayley's split personality played a role here. When Lyra Valkyria started screaming at her and saying, "Where is the 5-time champion? Where is, and when she slapped him, it seemed like waking up Bayley's second personality, and she went on a flurry and just destroyed Roxanne at that point. So, like I said in my booking room last week, with cracks forming in the Judgment Day, could we see a major split before WrestleMania? In other matches, Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. Not Asuka, but Asuka. A hard-hitting clash that ended in shock. Rhea dominated early, but interference from Kairi Sane and a distraction by Io Sky allowed Asuka to steal the win with a quick roll-up. A statement victory that shakes up the women's division heading into WrestleMania season and cements Asuka's status. This first ever win over Rhea was kind of a surprise to me. I thought it would save this for a bigger stakes match, much like Rhea's first win over Io will be. And Javon Evans defeated Rayo Americano. Evans is actually sold as a future free agent and will probably be added to Raw to have his first feud against El Grande Americano and the Americanos. So this Raw episode was all about setting the stage for January 5th and beyond. The Vision looks stronger than ever. Gunther's dominance continues, and the women's tag division is heating up. WrestleMania season is shaping up to be explosive. So off to NXT. The road to New Year's Evil continues. The show opened with Lola Vice taking on Izzy Dame in what started as a competitive bout until Tatum Paxley stormed in wielding a chainsaw. Yes, you heard that right, a chainsaw. Sending Shawn Spears running for cover. Amid the distraction, Lola nailed her signature spinning back fist for the win. Post-match, Kalani Jordan attacked Lola, hinting at a brewing rivalry. Chelsea Green retains the Women's United States Championship versus Sol Ruca. So in the main event, Chelsea Green defended her Women's United States Championship against Sol Ruca. Sol came close to dethroning Chelsea, but interference from Alba Fire and Ethan Page tipped the scale. Chelsea retained, but Sol and Zarya fought back post-match, hitting Sol Snatcher and a spear to stand tall. This feels far from over. Expect fireworks at New Year's Evil. Thea Hale's promo interrupted by Blake Monroe So Thea Hale was celebrating her North American Championship win, but Blake Monroe crashed the party, demanding a rematch, and it's official for New Year's Evil. So just like I said last week, I think that they're going to give back the title to Blake Monroe in this match, unless they want Blake Monroe to go up the ladder to the NXT Championship. In the Speed title tournament, for a title that I think is probably not worthless, but I would say insignificant. Tavion Heights advanced after defeating Eli Knight, and Lexis King beat Andre Chase to advance to the finals. And Shiloh Hill and Skylar Ray defeated Stax and Ariana Grace in a Christmas Chaos mixed tag team match featuring candy canes, pine cones, and pure festive madness. There was a face-off between Ulba Femi and Leon Slater when they sat down ahead of their NXT Championship clash at New Year's Evil. Ulba declared himself as the ruler of WWE, while Slater promised to shock the world. Ulba will retain, but expect a star-making performance from Slater. And Javon Evans and Ricky Saints are confirmed for a showdown for the last NXT of 2025. So next Tuesday, Ricky Saints and Javon Evans will face off each other, and expect Ricky Saints to win the match because Javon Evans will probably move on to Raw. This episode was pure chaos, chainsaws, title drama, and holiday mayhem, all building towards New Year's Evil. NXT will end 2025 with a. So on to SmackDown. We kicked off the night with Holiday Madness, a Miracle on 34th Street fight between Joe Hendry and The Miz. Hendry made his SmackDown debut in style, performing a hilarious concert mocking Miz before the match even started. The bout was pure chaos. Otis dressed as Santa, Akira Tozawa dressed as an elf, and R-Truth as the Easter Bunny, confused as usual, hitting a five-knuckle shuffle in tribute to John Cena. In the end, Hendry put Miz through a table for the win. So is Joe Hendry going to join SmackDown officially, like I talked about in my podcast 2 weeks ago, in my opinion segment, where I listed 6 NXT superstars that could be joining SmackDown for their new 3-hour format starting next week. Next up, Charlotte Flair battled Lash Legend in a hard-hitting contest. Lash dominated early with her power game, but Charlotte rallied with chops and a sunset flip pin for the victory. Meanwhile, Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax brawled at ringside, adding fuel to the fire in the women's tag division. Lash looked strong despite the loss, and the tension between Bliss and Jax hints at a major tag team drama heading into 2026. Now, the biggest shock of the night, for those who didn't have the spoiler already, Carmelo Hayes walking out as the new United States champion. This match was a clinic. Dragunov's intensity versus Hayes' athleticism. Hayes countered the H-bomb and nailed the nothing but net for the pin. But what a freaking great match. And Julia continued her rise, teaming with Kiana James to defeat Chelsea Green and Alba Fire. Julia sealed the win with the Northern Lights bomb on Green, proving she's a force to watch in 2026. Now, they keep on going with Julia and Chelsea Green. I made a fantasy booking about this a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to check it out, it would be, I think you'd like it. Of course, WWE is not going to follow this, but I think that this fantasy booking was a pretty good one. So another major storyline developments, the women's tag division, Chaos, backstage, Charlotte and Alexa confronted Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, Lash and Nia, and the Kabuki Warriors. A massive brawl broke out, and GM Nick Aldis announced the 8-women tag match for next week. So it's going to be Lash, Nia, and the Kabuki Warriors versus Rhea, Io, Charlotte, and Alexa. The feud between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre escalates. So Drew McIntyre returned, pained his fine, and made a half-hearted apology before insulting Cody's family. He announced their WWE Championship match will be 3 stages of hell bout in Berlin. Then Drew dropped Cody with a Claymore and held the title high to close the show. And Jade Cargill cut a promo on Meach promising to end their feud. Trick Williams confronted Cody backstage, teasing future main event aspirations. SmackDown delivered big, a new U.S. champion, Joe Hendry's entertaining debut, and the women's tag division heating up. Plus, Cody and Drew officially the most personal feud heading into Berlin. Question for you guys. Who do you think will challenge Carmelo Hayes first? Could be Gargano, like we saw Gargano attack Hayes after a match, backstage. And is Drew McIntyre going to steal the spotlight from Cody Rhodes? So hit me up with your thoughts, and off to the next section. So in my Analyst detailed storyline breakdown, the Vision adding Austin Theory. What could it mean? On December 22nd, Austin Theory revealed himself as the Masked Man after weeks of speculation. His explanation to Paul Heyman was simple yet telling. I wanted everyone to feel my actions before they saw my face. I've made mistakes. I got comfortable, got injured, but then I saw the vision. You guys didn't wait for anything. You took, and that's me now. I take. This aligns with Heyman's philosophy of aggression and opportunism. Theory's masked run, attacking CM Punk at Survivor Series and costing Rey Mysterio matches, was his audition for Heyman's faction. Is this the start of a youth building future stars turn for WWE? Quite possible. Now, there were reports suggesting that Heyman pushed for Theory's inclusion in the Vision for two reasons. One, and that's backstage, that's not in the storyline. Protect Breakker and Reed. Theory can absorb pinfalls, keeping the faction's heavy hitters strong. But the second point is the most important. Elevate Theory. Heyman sees him as a future main eventer who needs structure and guidance. So, what are the implications of all this? There's a faction power shift. The Vision now has 4 strong personalities. Logan Paul, who has star power. Braun Breaker, future world champion. Bronson Reed as the enforcer, and Austin Theory as the young opportunist. This makes them the WWE's most dangerous faction since the Bloodline. So expect the Vision to dominate Raw and possibly influence title picture across many divisions. And this will revive Theory's career, because he was drifting after losing the U.S. title and failing to break through as a solo act. Joining Heyman's faction gives him credibility and storyline depth. He could become the faction's workhorse, taking big matches and absorbing losses to protect Breakker and Logan, while still staying relevant. But Theory using Seth Rollins' curb stomp wasn't random. Fans speculate this could lead to a Mole storyline or a Rollins return to feud with the Vision. So WWE might be setting up a long-term arc where Theory turns on Heyman, creating a babyface redemption story. So what is the impact on CM Punk's feud? With Theory added, the Vision versus Punk feud gets more layers. Theory could be the one to cost Punk at Netflix anniversary show keeping Breakker strong for his title match. Implication: Punk's road to WrestleMania might involve dismantling the division piece by piece. So WWE is clearly positioning the division as a dominant heel stable for the biggest stage. This storyline isn't just about adding a member, it's about creating a faction that can control Raw for months and set up major WrestleMania angles. So what are the future directions? In the short term, expect Theory to be the sacrificial lamb of the division, a lot like Sami Zayn was for the Bloodline, where Sami would put himself in harm's way to protect the tribal chief. Theory might do the same for Braun Breaker. Why does it work? Well, Theory has this athleticism and credibility to make others look strong while still staying relevant. And it creates sympathy for Theory, planting seeds for a future babyface turn when he's inevitably discarded. In the long term, the seeds are already being planted. Austin Theory used Seth Rollins' curb stomp in his first match as a Vision member and in different interference like Survivor Series like a couple of weeks ago. That wasn't random. It's a deliberate callback to Theory's past as one of Rollins' disciples during the Messiah era. This subtle nod creates speculation that Theory isn't fully loyal to Heyman. He might be infiltrating the Vision for Rollins. So how could WWE build all this? First of all, they can have a slow burn loyalty test. Theory plays a loyal soldier, taking punishment for Breakker and Logan Paul, earning Heyman's trust. Meanwhile, he occasionally drops Rollins references in promos or uses moves associated with him, keeping fans guessing. When Rollins returns, he comes back around WrestleMania season, targeting the Vision for corrupting WWE. Theory is torn. Does he stay loyal to Heyman or reveal his true allegiance? At a major event, maybe SummerSlam, maybe Survivor Series, or any other PLE. Theory costs Breakker a title match, aligning Rollins. The reveal could be cinematic. Rollins smirking as Theory hands him a chair, echoing the Shield's betrayal vibes. So why does this work? Well, there's an emotional payoff. Fans love layered storytelling. Theory's redemption arc mirrors Sami Zayn's, but adds a twist with Rollins as the mastermind. And that sets up a faction warfare where you have Rollins and Theory on one side, Breakker, Logan Paul, and Bronson Reed on the other. And this will elevate Theory from a mid-card performer to a central figure in one of WWE's biggest storylines. This will lead to a war between the Vision versus Rollins and Theory. Now, who could be the third man to join Rollins and Theory? None other than CM Punk. Why does it make sense? Well, Punk is already entangled with the Vision and has a history with Rollins. Adding him creates a dream trio that fans would go wild for. Punk wants to dismantle Heyman's influence and restore honor to WWE. Aligning with Rollins gives him the perfect platform. But this will be an uneasy alliance. There's a history of tension between the two. Punk and Rollins have never been best friends. Punk has openly criticized Rollins in the past, and Rollins has called Punk a cancer in interviews. Bringing them together under one banner creates instant drama. It's not just faction warfare, it's layered storytelling with real life tension baked in. Promos between Punk and Rollins would be electric, and the uneasy alliance gives every match unpredictability. This isn't just a war, it's a powder keg of egos, grudges, and redemption. WWE could stretch this for a year and make it the centerpiece of Raw. So in conclusion, Austin Theory joining the Vision isn't just a faction upgrade, it's the spark for one of WWE's most layered storyline in years. In the short term, Theory plays the loyal soldier, sacrificing himself to protect Braun Breaker and earn Heyman's trust. But the long game is where this gets fascinating. Subtle Rollins callbacks, seeds of betrayal, and the looming return of Seth Rollins sets the stage for a war that could define WWE in 2026. Add CM Punk into the mix, and you have an uneasy alliance built on grudges and egos, promising to explosive promos and unpredictable twists. So this isn't just about dominance, it's about redemption, revenge, and the rise of new stars. If WWE executes this right, the Vision versus Rollins, Theory, and Punk could become the next epic saga, rivaling the Bloodline era and shaping WrestleMania season for years to come. So what do you think? Will Austin Theory stay loyal to the Vision? Or is he playing a long game for Seth Rollins? And if CM Punk joins the fight, does this uneasy alliance change everything? Hit me up with your thoughts. So it's time for my opinion segment. How can WWE make every championship matter again? In recent years, WWE's championship landscape has grown more crowded than ever. Yet, many titles feel forgotten or underutilized. Fans tune in expecting drama, prestige, and meaningful stakes. But too often, belts sit idle while storylines move on without them. If championships are meant to represent the pinnacle of competition, then they should be defended regularly and treated as more than props. So how can WWE make every title matter again? It starts with consistency, creativity, and a renewed focus on what makes these prizes worth fighting for. The core problems with WWE's championship landscape. Despite having some of the most iconic titles in wrestling history, WWE struggles to maintain their relevance. Here are the key issues. Too many belts, not enough spotlight. WWE currently has two world titles, the undisputed WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship. Men and women. So that's 4. Intercontinental Championship, United States, men and women. So that's another 4. So that's a total of 8 right now. We have Raw Tag Team Champions, or World Tag Team Champions, and we have WWE Tag Team Champions for the men's on each brand. So that's 10. And we have the Women's Tag Team Championship that is defended on all brands. So that's 11. This abundance can lead to neglect. For example, the women's tag title have repeatedly gone weeks without appearing on TV, making fans question their relevance. Inconsistent defenses. Championships should feel like the ultimate prize, but some reigns lack urgency. A prime example is Roman Reigns' undisputed WWE Championship run. While historic, he defended the title only a handful of times in 2023, leaving months of programming without a world title match. Similarly, the U.S. title, before Sami Zayn won it from Solo Sikoa, often disappeared for long stretches. Storylines that ignore titles. WWE frequently prioritizes personal feuds or celebrity angles over championship narratives. When belts become props instead of central stakes, fans stop caring about who holds them. Uneven brand representation. Certain belts dominate one show while others vanish. For example, the Intercontinental Championship under Gunther was heavily featured on Raw in 2023, while the US title barely got TV time. This imbalance makes some divisions feel irrelevant and confuses fans about which championship matters most. Short-term booking over long-term prestige. Hot-shotting titles for shock value erodes credibility. A clear example of this is the 24/7 championship, which became a comedy gimmick rather than a legitimate prize. Even major belts suffer, like when the women's tag titles changed hands multiple times in quick succession in 2022, making reigns feel meaningless. How can WWE make every championship matter again? Well, they have to commit to regular defenses. So the world titles, men and women, should be defended primarily on premium live events. This keeps them special and makes PLEs feel like must-watch events. The mid-card titles, defended regularly on weekly shows, Raw and SmackDown. These belts should be the workhorse championships, showcasing rising stars and strong in-ring action. Include defenses on the 4 major PLEs, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and the Royal Rumble, especially when those events finish expanding to 2 nights. Right now, it's not possible on Survivor Series and Royal Rumble, but when they expand those 2 events to 2 nights, which I think is coming, those 4 titles should be defended on those events. So WWE should make titles central for storylines. Championships should be the heart of WWE narratives. Instead of feuds that ignore belts, almost every rivalry should connect to the desire for gold. Example, Gunther's Intercontinental Championship reign worked because challengers were portrayed as hungry for the title, not just personal grudges. For tag teams, revive their prestige. Now, on Raw, it's being done right now. Make the belts feel like a badge of honor, not just props. Balanced brand representation. Every title should feel equally important across both brands. And have the champions appear on television almost every week when the storyline allows for it. Feature title defenses on both Raw and SmackDown. Avoid situations where one belt dominates TV while another disappears, like the US title often does. Showcase divisions consistently. Women's titles, tag titles, and mid-card belts should all have defined roles and visibility. And establish clear divisions with flexibility for star power. Championships work best when fans understand their purpose. Mid-card titles should primarily showcase rising stars and strong in-ring talent, while world titles remain the pinnacle for top-tier competitors. However, there's room for flexibility. Occasional main eventers holding mid-card titles, this can elevate the belt's prestige and create fresh storylines. An example of that is Becky Lynch's Intercontinental Championship run. It made the title feel important and gave her a meaningful arc outside the world title picture. Define hierarchy without restriction. While mid-card belts should mostly highlight emerging talent, sprinkling in established stars keeps division dynamic and prevents titles from feeling secondary. Tag team division integrity. Keep tag titles exclusive to teams, not thrown together single stars unless the story truly calls for it. This prevents the division's identity. This preserves the division's identity and credibility. Prioritize long-term booking over shock value. One of the biggest WWE's biggest missteps is sacrificing title prestige for short-term rating props. Quick, meaningless title changes might create buzz for a night, but they erode credibility over time. Instead, build meaningful reigns. Champions should have arcs that tell a story of dominance, resilience, or redemption. Gunther's historic Intercontinental run is a perfect example of how consistency elevates a belt. Avoid hot-shotting titles. Resist the temptation to swap belts for surprise moments, unless it serves a larger narrative. Frequent changes make championships feel like props instead of prizes. Now, in my booking room segment later, I will demonstrate how this is not always true. Plan ahead for big payoffs. Map out long-term feuds where the title is the ultimate goal. Fans invest more when they see a clear journey toward championship glory. Use transitional reigns strategically. If a quick title change is necessary, make sure it fits the storyline and doesn't undermine the belt's importance. Prestige comes from patience and storytelling, not chaos. When titles feel earned, not handed out for shock value, fans care more about who holds them. Use premium live events strategically to elevate the titles. Not every championship needs to be defended on every PLE, but WWE should create a clear structure that makes sense for fans and talents. World titles defend these almost exclusively on PLEs. This keeps them feeling special and ensures big matches happen on the biggest stages. Tag team titles. Restore their prestige by giving them compelling storylines and consistent defenses on Raw and SmackDown. Guarantee their presence on the 4 major PLEs, with occasional defenses on other PLEs when the story calls for it. Mid-card titles, US and Intercontinental. Make these the workhorse belts of weekly programming. Defend them regularly on Raw and SmackDown to keep the shows exciting. And feature them on the 4 major PLEs, especially when those events expand to 2 nights. This approach gives mid-card titles a strong identity without overshadowing world titles. This system creates a clear hierarchy. World titles, marquee attraction. Tag titles, consistent prestige over cross TV and big events. Mid-card titles, weekly excitement and occasional PLE spotlight. So my personal solutions are, so here's what I would do to make WWE's title matter again. World titles, you keep them on the PLE exclusive to maintain their aura. Tag team titles, give them strong storylines, regular defenses on Raw and SmackDown, plus guaranteed spots on the 4 major PLEs when all 4 go to 2-night formats. Mid-card titles, make them the backbone of weekly programming with defenses on Raw and SmackDown and appearances on the 4 major PLEs when all those events go to 2 nights. Restore prestige. Stop treating titles like props. Every belt should feel like a prize worth fighting for, not just a storytelling accessory. In conclusion, championships are the lifeblood of WWE. They represent achievement, prestige, and the ultimate goal for every superstar. When titles are treated as afterthoughts, the entire product suffers. By committing to regular defenses, making championships central to storylines, balancing brand representation, and using PLEs strategically, WWE can restore the importance of every belt. Fans want stakes that matter, and wrestlers deserve prices that feel earned. With a clear structure and long-term vision, WWE can make every championship not just a prop, but a symbol of excellence once again. So what do you think? Should WWE focus on fixing the mid-card titles first? Or overhaul the tag division to bring back its glory days? Drop your thoughts. So in my booking room, the women's tag team titles with 6 teams involved in the fray. Who gets out of WrestleMania as champions? Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting fantasy booking scenarios for the women's tag team division. 6 teams, multiple title changes, and a storyline that turns these championships into the most coveted prize heading into WrestleMania. So the current champions are the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. The challengers, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax and Lash Legend, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, and a combination from the Judgment Day, comprising of Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. So the concept. Instead of killing the prestige with constant title changes, this booking makes the belt the ultimate prize. Every team wants them. Every team gets a shot, and every win matters. So we start in January 26th, January 5th on Raw on Netflix. Kabuki Warriors versus Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Rhea and Io win the titles. So we get to January 9th, SmackDown. Ripley and Io Sky versus Charlotte and Bliss. Rhea and Io win clean after the Riptide and Moonsault combo. So commentary team can emphasize on their dominance as new champions and teases that SmackDown teams want a shot at the titles. Let's get to January 12th of Raw. Bayley and Lyra versus the Kabuki Warriors. And Bayley and Lyra win with Bayley's switch kicks in the match after Valkyria berates her and slaps her in the face again. So a commentary team can go tease that Kabuki Warriors are losing momentum. On January 16th of SmackDown, we have a match with Charlotte and Alexa versus Sol, Ruka, and Zarya. The result, Sol and Zarya win after Lash and Nia distract Flair and Bliss. And Flair and Bliss are furious and they start blaming each other. So we start seeing dissension between Bliss and Flair. January 19th of Raw, Rio and Nia are the champions versus Judgment Day, Raquel and Roxanne. Result, Rhea and Io retain clean. And Liv starts asking questions to Raquel and Roxanne backstage, asking on why did they lose, and so you have dissension coming in the Judgment Day as well. On the SmackDown of January 23rd, we have a match with Lash and Nia versus Charlotte and Alexa. Lash and Nia win decisively, dominating their opponents, so Flair storms off. Tension is teased. The next episode of Raw, January 26th, the Kabuki Warriors versus the Judgment Day, and the Judgment Day wins with Raquel pinning Kyrie. Liv celebrates but throws shades at Raquel. On January 30th SmackDown, you have Lash and Nia versus Sol and Ruka and Zarya. Lash and Nia win, but Sol and Zarya look strong. Lash and Nia cut a promo about owning the division. So we get to February, and that's when the title charts start to change regularly. February 2nd, Bayley and Lyra versus Rhea and Io. Title change number 2. Bayley and Lyra win after Lyra triggers Bayley's switch, and Bayley pins Io after a top rope elbow drop, and Lyra prevents Rhea from breaking the pin. Rhea looks stunned, but stays calm. No tensions yet. SmackDown February 6th. Charlotte and Alexa versus Lash and Nia. Again, Lash and Nia win clean, continuing their dominance. And Flair and Bliss argue post-match, teasing cracks. February 9th, Raw. Judgment Day versus Bayley and Lyra. So that title changes again with the Judgment Day winning after Raquel puts a Teada bomb on Lyra. Liv celebrates but says don't get comfortable. We get to SmackDown. Lash and Nia versus Zarya and Sol Ruka. Nia wins again. Lash and Nia wins again, cutting a promo again about owning the division. February 16th of Raw. You have the Kabuki Warriors versus the Judgment Day, and the Judgment Day retains after Raquel pins Kairi again. Kabuki vow revenge and balance in the division. February 20th, SmackDown. Lash and Nia versus the Judgment Day, and that's when Lash and Nia win the title after Nia crushes Roxanne with the Annihilator. Liv is furious, and Judgment Day implodes further, but the implosion is not complete yet. Raw of February 23rd, we have a match with Lash and Nia versus the Judgment Day. Wait, no, that's done. That's done. So we get to March. March 2nd. Rhea and Io versus Lash and Nia. Title change number 5. Rhea and Io regain the titles after the Riptide and Moonsault combo. But commentary teases that Io is taking more spotlight. First subtle tension signs between Rhea and Io. March 6th. Charlotte and Alexa versus Kabuki Warriors. The Kabuki Warriors win clean, gaining momentum. On Raw, March 9th, Bayley and Lyra versus Rhea and Io. And Rhea and Io retain, but Io celebrates alone. Tension grows. March 13th, Lash and Nia versus Charlotte and Alexa. And Lash and Nia win again, staying strong despite losing the titles. Raw of March 16th. We have the Kabuki Warriors versus the Rhea and Io. Kabuki Warriors win the titles back, heading into WrestleMania. Rhea and Io argue post-match, split teased for post-Mania feud. So we get to late March to April. On Friday Night SmackDown of March 20th, we have another win for Lash and Nia against Charlotte and Alexa. So Charlotte and Alexa are on a big losing streak there. And they say that they're cutting a promo about how they're going to destroy everyone at WrestleMania. On Monday, March 23rd of Raw, Judgment Day versus Bayley and Lyra. Judgment Day wins clean, but Liv mocks them for not having gold, deepening faction drama. March 27th of SmackDown, Charlotte and Alexa versus Sol and Zarya. Flair and Bliss win clean, restoring credibility before Mania. Then we get to Monday, March 30th of Raw, the Kabuki Warriors versus Bayley and Lyra. Kabuki Warriors retain, but Bayley's split personality angle escalates. She attacks Lyra Valkyria post-match. Friday, April 3rd, SmackDown. Lash and Nia versus Sol and Zarya, and Lash and Nia win again, staying dominant. We have Monday, April 6th of Raw, Rhea and Io versus Judgment Day. Rhea and Io win, but post-match, they brawl with each other, officially breaking up. They reconcile later. Friday, April 10th of SmackDown, Charlotte and Alexa versus the Kabuki Warriors. And the Kabuki Warriors retain, cutting a promo, "We will survive the chaos at WrestleMania." So here is the win-loss record for each team going into WrestleMania match. The Kabuki Warriors are the current champions with a record of 4-3. Rhea and Io Sky would be the favorites going in. Well, one of the favorites with a record of 6-2. Bayley and Lyra have a record of 2-3. Judgment Day have a record of 3-4. Flair and Bliss have a record of 1-7. And Nia Jax and Lash Legend have a record of 8-1. So they're the dominant guys. Well, girls. So the most dominant team is Lash and Nia at 8-1. The most resilient champions are Rhea and Io at 6-2. The underdogs, besides Lyra and Bayley, would be Charlotte and Alexa. And the Kabuki Warriors have a solid comeback story heading into Mania as champion at 4-3. So here is the WrestleMania 6-team elimination match for the Women's Tag Team Championship. So that would be an elimination match. All 6 teams start in chaos, brawls, spill outside the ring. Lash and Nia clear house early with a double powerbomb on Bayley and Lyra. Kabuki Warriors use speed to avoid Lash and Nia hitting stereo kicks. So elimination number 1, Bayley and Lyra. Bayley dominates early, but mid-match her split personality kicks in. She attacks Lyra instead of helping her. Lash and Nia capitalize. Nia hits the Annihilator on Lyra for the pin. So Bayley storms off, screaming at Lyra. Heel turn confirmed. Elimination number 2, Charlotte and Alexa. Charlotte and Alexa double team Roxanne with a DDT figure 8 combo. But just as they're about to pin, Lash and Nia return. Nia crushes Alexa with a leg drop. Lash hits the pump kick on Charlotte. And Lash and Nia scored a pin. Flair and Bliss argue post-elimination, teasing a split or heel turn. Elimination number 3, Judgment Day. Raquel goes on a tear. Tahana bomb on Kyrie, big boot on Io. Liv Morgan runs in to help but accidentally distracts Raquel. Kabuki Warriors hit a double team finisher on Roxanne for the pin. So it can be the Asuka lock elbow drop or something like that. Story beat. Liv and Raquel argue. Judgment Day implodes. Elimination number 4, Lash and Nia. So Lash and Nia dominate the Kabuki Warriors and Rhea and Io with power spots. Io moonsaults onto Lash outside the ring, stunning her. Kabuki Warriors hit a double spinning back fist and insane elbow on Nia for the pin. Lash and Nia look furious, set up for post-Mania feud. So we have the final 2 teams, Kabuki Warriors and Rhea Ripley, Io Sky. Rhea and Io dominate early, riptide on Asuka, moonsault on Kyrie, miscommunication. Io goes for another moonsault, but Rhea is down in the corner. Io crashes into Rhea. Kabuki Warriors capitalize. Kyrie hits the inside elbow on Io for the win. Rhea snaps post-match, attacking Io. Heel turn confirmed. So the final outcome, Kabuki Warriors retain and stand tall, proving they are the ultimate survivors. So what is the post-WrestleMania fallout for all this? Rhea and Io feud kicks off with Rhea as the heel. Judgment Day fractures. Liv versus Raquel is teased. Bayley goes full heel against Lyra. Lash and Nia remain dominant heels for future title chase. And Charlotte and Alexa tease a heel turn. So what do you think? What do you think about all this? I know it was a rapid fire of dates and matches and everything, but this could be a good sequence to restore and give a lot of prestige to the Women's Tag Team Championship. I know in that booking, you didn't have Bayley and Lyra, I think, as champions. Or if we had, it's good. Yes, I think we did. We didn't have Alexa and Charlotte as champions, though. Again, but you could add a championship reign for Charlotte and Alexa in there that could even elevate even more the titles. So tell me what you think in the comments, and let's go to the pew and keep up with this. So, preview of next episode. In my detailed storyline breakdown, Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre, the 3 stages of hell. So, what's up with this? What's coming? And we'll see where it's going to go. And I'm going to break down in detail that storyline. In my opinion segment, Beyond the Championship, exploring the underrated value of mid-card titles. In my booking room, I'm going to do a fantasy booking about Carmelo Hayes' U.S. title reign, where it's going to lead. So today in WWE History, 1998, Goldberg's undefeated streak ends at 173-0 when Kevin Nash defeated him with the help of Scott Hall using a taser. Ric Flair won two of his 16 world titles on December 27th. In 1993 by defeating Vader in a title versus career match, and in 1995 by defeating Randy Savage. And those three events took place at different years' Starrcade event. In 1983, the then WWF invaded NWA territory for the first time when they did a TV taping in St. Louis, Missouri. And I think that's when the takeover of WWF at the time really started, with taking over all the small territories like NWA, like Stampede Wrestling in Calgary, like right here in Montreal, International Wrestling at the time. That's when it all started. And I'll probably try to do something like an opinion segment on this, or a historical render on this WWF taking over all the different small promotions in the United States and picking out their big stars so that the territories would crumble. That was the Vince McMahon's tactic back then. So that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Wrestling Analyst podcast, Beyond the Bell. Thanks for joining me as we break down the stories, the drama, and the action that keep the wrestling world turning. If you enjoyed today's deep dive, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share the podcast with your fellow wrestling fans. Follow me on social media for updates, hot takes, and join my community on Twitter or X. got a prediction or fantasy booking idea that you would like me to break down or maybe do a fantasy booking on, feel free to write to me, send me an email, or leave a comment. I'll check it out. Got a storyline for me you'd like me to break down? Drop in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep your eyes on the ring, your ears on the stories, and remember, when the bell rings, the analysis begins. See you next week on Beyond the Bell. That's it for this week, and thank you for listening to the Wrestling Analyst podcast, Beyond the Bell. If you loved what you heard, smash that subscribe button, drop a like, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the action. Got opinions? Share them in the comments. I want to hear your take. So until next time, stay loud, stay proud, and keep going beyond the bell.